Welcome to the Inject Creativity Live Chat Show. This 30-minute webinar is live on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. And your comments and questions via these platforms are most welcome. Please keep them kind and respectful. Following this event, you are welcome to join us via the Blue Jeans online conferencing app for a 1-hour NESA-accredited workshop with our guest presenter. Now, here's your host, Dr. Tim Kitchen.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, and welcome to the Inject Creativity Live Chat Show being recorded via Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the APAC Adobe and Education Facebook group. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 2nd of September, 2020. I'm your host, Tim Kitchen, Adobe's Senior Education Specialist for the Asia Pacific region. Before I introduce my amazing co-host, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. We respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders, past, present and future, as well as all Indigenous people from the lands we reach out to during this event. We acknowledge their stories, traditions and living cultures. We acknowledge them as the first peoples in our lands, the first scientists and the first creatives, and we commit to building a brighter future together. Let's introduce our amazing co-host, Erin Rathke from TAFE Queensland. Hi, Erin. How are you?
Hi, Tim. I'm really well. How are you doing this evening?
Look, I could be better. I have to admit, we had some very, very sad news in Melbourne and Victoria. Quite devastating news for us, but I would imagine it was pretty pleasing news for you in Queensland. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Since my first instinct is to say no, I'm guessing you're talking about AFL.
Yes, I'm talking about AFL. And today it was announced that for the first time in 120 years, the grand final will not be in Melbourne. It will be in Brisbane at the Gabba. Oh my goodness, Erin.
But at least they're still planning on it actually being played.
That's
so while you may have lost the venue, you haven't lost the final.
Wow, that's true. You know, I've been to every grand final since 1997 as a member of the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's like a ritual. It's a religious experience that I'm going to have to watch from the comfort of my lounge room this year.
Yeah, but if it was in Victoria, you might have had to have watched it from the comfort of your lounge room anyway. That's
true. Oh, dear. We'll probably jest a little bit. But, Erin, last week we did a special tribute to Sir Ken Robinson, and every day since then, I've been getting these emails and tweets and Facebook messages about how lovely the tribute was. So thank you so much for your contribution. And it really was an honour to pay tribute to the great man.
Oh, as small as it was, I was really glad to be a part of it. Everyone spoke so beautifully, and it was particularly moving, especially people who, had been affected by him so profoundly and had known him personally and were able to share some anecdotes. By all accounts, he was quite the character. It certainly came across in all of the recordings that I'd watched of him. So
yeah. No, it was a tribute to, it was a privilege to do the tribute. And Erin, I did put it to the global education team and said, look, this isn't a normal program that we run, not fussed if it's not put onto the official YouTube channel. They responded back as soon as they watched it and said, this has to be on. So I'm not sure if it's on now, but it soon will be on the official YouTube channel, the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. So if you haven't watched it, you can watch it there.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it come up in my notifications yet. It's very strange to see a video that you yourself are in come up on your own YouTube notifications for your subscriptions. But yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it because I would like to watch it back. It was a good show.
All right, Erin, what have we got planned for today's events?
Well, I'm looking forward to introducing everyone to our special guests for this episode. We've got Clara Galan, who's Adobe's Global Community Lead for K-12 and Higher Education. As well as that, we have Adobe Education Leader Mark Woszczalski, who is a Product Specialist and Academic Advisor with TAFE New South Wales.
We'll be meeting and finding out more about Clara and Mark very soon. Helping us moderate and doing a lot of the techie things behind the scenes is my wonderful colleague, the legendary Adobe Customer Success Manager, Jerry Wong. Hi, Jerry. Bring yourself on, Jerry. Come on, mate.
Bring yourself on.
Hi, everyone. I'll be
The
moderating
legendary
the chat.
Jerry.
Yes, I've been upgraded. I'll be moderating the chat tonight, guys. So please post your comments and questions, and let's make this chat show interactive.
Very nice. So we are getting the chat feed from those of you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But please note, if you're on Twitter and you want to contribute and add comments or questions to any of our presenters tonight, you may need to jump out of Twitter and log on to Tim's YouTube channel. And that is the address for that is bit.ly/YouTube-Tim Kitchen up on the screen now.
And we'll be continuing the chat during the Deeper Dive event at the top of the hour, where we'll be crossing to bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe. And that link's about to appear. There it is, bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe. And that's a lot easier to work with the chat. We post the chats that you bring into the chat show, so we kind of moderate those. But with the Blue Jeans one, then it's open to you to converse with each other. It's like having a second conversation while we're presenting the show. So we're looking forward to seeing what you have to say there.
And regardless of whether or not it's for the live chat show or for the deeper dive, we really do value your comments and thoughts. So please make this even more valuable by getting involved.
Erin, we have a new intro for the Spark Challenge, thanks to Rob the Robot. Check this out.
Well, folks, I hope you're ready for this week's Spark Challenge.
Was that pretty cute?
He's so cute. Very nice intro, Rob. The Spark Challenge for this episode is to create a Spark post based on at least 2 things that you learn that you can apply in your classroom. So at least one of those things needs to be from the chat show and one of them needs to be from the deeper dive. We'll be keeping an eye out for your entries posted into the chat during the deeper dive event. Good luck.
Let me show you how to access Spark Post on a browser for those of you who are new to Spark Post. I'm just going to bring up my screen and bring up a browser. And I've already logged into Spark to save a little bit of time. When you do go to spark.adobe.com, you're encouraged to log in. For most of you, you can log in through your school account. Through your university account. But if you know that you can't, you've got Apple, you've got Facebook, you've got Google, and of course you've got an Adobe ID that you can use to get into Spark. Once you're in, then you just jump to this little plus symbol here below the Spark logo and then choose what type of tool you want to work with to create. And in this case, we're creating a Spark post, which is a flyer or an Instagram story or an Instagram post or a Facebook post or a collage, or if we drop down below the video, a branded graphic or a custom size graphic. All of those are related to Spark Post. If I go to flyer now, you'll see a stage appear any second now that I can start adding into. There's my stage. And on the right-hand side, we've got a plus symbol, and I can add text and photos, and then I can go ahead and share. When I click share, it generates a link, and that link is what you bring into the chat in the Blue Jeans room to show us what you've created. So that's it in a bit of a nutshell. I'll just stop sharing my screen now, and we're back together. Hopefully that works for you.
Yep. And hopefully so. So also last month, Adobe launched the hashtag From Me to You project, especially for the APAC region. We're sharing the slide there.
Adobe is encouraging you to be part of a community video project connecting people through cultural experiences across Asia Pacific.
Whether it's a local tradition, a hidden gem from your neighborhood, a signature recipe, or local music, use Adobe Premiere Pro or Premiere Rush to record, edit, and share it so others can experience it too.
You could win 5,000 American dollars.
Find out more using the link or QR code on this slide.
The contest is open to residents of South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. But you do need to be 14 or older. So let your students know about it as well.
Winning videos will be selected based on creativity, originality, consistency with the hashtag From Me to You theme, and overall quality.
Erin, can you introduce our special guests for today?
No worries, Tim. It's my great pleasure to introduce Adobe's Global Community Lead for K-12 and Higher Education, Clara Galan, all the way from Spain, and Adobe Education Leader, TAFE New South Wales Product Specialist and Academic Advisor, Mark Woszczalski.
Let's bring them up. There they are. And let's get rid of the screen so we can see Clara. There she is. Hi, folks.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
We're going well. How are you?
Doing well. Nice and sunny today. So happy to be here.
Well, the day's just started, hasn't it? Whereas for Mark and for Erin, the day is just finishing for us. So that's just the way it works.
I don't know. Spring has definitely sprung where I am. I don't know if you can see it from here. I might have to crack a window because my glasses are fogging up a little bit where they're touching my cheeks. It's definitely a warm night.
And might I say, Erin, new glasses too? Have I noticed?
Yes, new glasses. Well, actually, they're new prescriptions, but they're actually the frames I picked 2 frames ago. So I saw them on the shelf. I knew they'd look good on me. I'm like, them ones. I don't want to try on glasses during a pandemic.
Nice. So let's meet Clara first. Clara, tell us about the work that you do at Adobe.
Sure. So first off, Tim, so excited to be here today with everyone and seeing so many great comments in the chat. For those who I haven't met, my name is Clara Galan, and I manage our Educator community programs here at Adobe. So everything from virtual to in-person events, really facilitating educator professional development, and then creating badging programs and online communities to support educators around the world. So have been working now for 3 years with Tim, and it's an absolute pleasure to see everyone tonight.
And of course, the highlight for Clara's work is coming out to Australia once a year to be part of our APAC summit, but sadly not this year.
I know, I'm so bummed I can't come this year, but hopefully fingers crossed in future years.
But also, like, you get to be in Spain right now.
That's also
I bet there's a lot of people in our community that would be like, if I could get you in Spain right now, that would be pretty sweet.
No, Australia's beautiful, though. I love the event that Tim always runs in Sydney. It's spectacular.
And of course, on a serious note, Clara, you've left San Francisco to be in Spain, and things in California at the moment aren't that great. Do you want to give us a brief sort of update on what's happening in that part of the world?
Yeah, so on the west coast of the United States right now, especially in California, there are a lot of wildfires going on. So evacuations are happening. And I know Australia experienced something similar a few years ago. So continuing to keep all those families in our thoughts. And one of our Adobe Education leaders, John De La Cruz, actually had to evacuate his home 2 weeks ago. So thinking about everybody.
Yeah, and we've got lots of friends in that part of the world, and we're thinking of you. And I read in the news recently that a number of firefighters from New South Wales and Queensland are heading off to California soon to help you. Not from Victoria, where I am, because we can't get out of Victoria. It's a little bit harder for us to move around, but we're hopefully we'll be able to support and help what's going on in California. Mark.
Tonal shift.
Tell us a bit more about your work with TAFE New South Wales.
So I've been with TAFE for over 16 years now on a continuous basis, and firstly as a teacher, and more recently in the last couple of years working as a product specialist, developing the educational content for the statewide delivery. And I also oversee an offshore course that we run in China for graphic design, a couple of courses there. But my role's about to change. I'm about to step back on the front line in the teaching realm as a head teacher of a department. So luckily I'll keep my China role active, but I'll wrap up the product specialist job fairly soon. But it's great. It's a really privileged position to be creating content for everybody, and it's being creative in a different way than sort of creating artwork, but creating education is really exciting. I love it.
Oh, that's great. And I think we need to congratulate you on the promotion. So round of applause for Mark with his new job. That's terrific. And we'll look forward to hearing some more about that as you delve into the head teaching role, which is exciting.
Yeah. And especially as you change into that, I mean, obviously your role may be changing a little bit, but you'll still be an Adobe Education Leader. Could you share with us what that means to you?
Oh, it's been really exciting because not only do I get to interact with staff and students personally, or as personally as we can do at the moment, but also in contact with local schools, beginning to get that conversation started, and to be able to incorporate the Adobe tools into the resources that are going to be used for many years, from now on the front line in the teaching at TAFE. It's really exciting. So I've just finished actually producing a resource that really points people like a roadmap for the Adobe tools. It's really exciting to do that. So I just love the responsibility of sharing the knowledge and getting people more familiar with the tools. It's really fun. They all love it once they get their hands dirty and just get a little bit of understanding, and then the tools just do the work. So it's awesome.
We're very lucky because Clara is the head of the Adobe Education Leaders program worldwide. So Clara, one of the categories of becoming an education leader is to not only be an advocate for Adobe use in your school, but to have a network wider than your school. And Mark is a classic example of someone who does that really well, and off his own bat, his own initiative, reaching out to the local schools. Even though he's a TAFE teacher at a higher education role, he's reaching out to the local K-12 schools to see how he can support them. And that's exactly what we're looking for in our AELs. What do you think, Clara? Does that sound good to you?
Oh, completely. And especially, Mark, I'm excited for you to share a little bit more in the deeper dive about the work that you're doing. And it's really an inspiration to the rest of the community. And Tim, as you mentioned, our Adobe Education Leaders they're our board of advisors. So that's the top pinnacle of our community. They're the only group of educators that are under NDA. So they get access to features before they launch. And we look to them to help inform the product roadmap as we're moving forward.
And if you're interested in becoming an Adobe Education Leader, there's sort of a pathway that we have for you in a sense. It's not an official pathway, but the Adobe Creative Educators program, which Clara launched only in July this year, so it's very fresh. Tell us a bit about that program, because the way I see it, it's kind of like a stepping stone. You may not want to become an Adobe Education Leader, but this is a nice stepping stone towards that as a goal.
Completely. And the Adobe Creative Educator program, as you mentioned, Tim, we just launched it, so it's brand new. But what we're really trying to do is provide an opportunity for any educator who is curious about creativity across the curriculum and how to use Adobe tools in his or her classroom. And so while our Adobe Education Leaders are product experts, they're influential in their school communities. If educators are just getting started with Adobe or want to learn a little bit more, this is the perfect professional development badging program for them. And then once you start the course, you are then enrolled into the Creative Educator program and have access to the global community. So just as you mentioned, Tim, it's really that kind of scaffolded approach, and then the top pinnacle being our Education Leader program.
Yeah, I had a teacher reach out to me today, actually, on email. He's applied to become an Adobe Creative Educator, and that's why I reached out to him to invite him to our summit coming up. And then when he noticed that day one of the summit was for Adobe Education Leaders, I think that's what prompted him to email me back and say, how do I become an Adobe Education Leader? And he started sharing his credentials and so on. Maybe that's a question other people have too, Clara. How do you become an Adobe Education Leader?
Yes, so we have every year, so we just closed applications for the beginning of this academic year, but there is an application form and then an interview that I lead with Leona Gaitis, who is our community manager on our team. And then we ask that you have a reference who is either an existing Adobe Education Leader or an Adobe employee. So we have really close relationships with all 350 of our Adobe Education Leaders around the world.
That's great. And those of you who are watching this live at the moment, it'd be lovely to get some comments and thoughts, especially if you are an Adobe Education Leader. Maybe just a quick reflection on how that's been for you. And for those of you who are interested in becoming an education leader or being part of our Adobe Creative Educators program, Clara will be sharing a bit more about that during the Deeper Dive event. Erin, do you have a question for Mark?
Well, speaking of the Deeper Dive event, Mark, what will you be sharing with us during the Deeper Dive?
Oh, I'm really excited to show one of my favorite tools, After Effects. Because I've worked in the film industry for a while doing visual effects, I've really been close to this tool for quite a while. So if anyone's ever opened it but seen a little bit scared of After Effects, I'm going to take all those fears away and show a really basic introduction, which will be enough to get people confident to keep exploring the tool, which is really the key. So hopefully people will enjoy it. I'm really thrilled to be asked to share the knowledge there. It's a great product.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you said to get rid of the fear, because it's probably, I find, the most intimidating out of all the Adobe Creative Cloud applications when you first go into it. But as we're going to be seeing from Mark, there are simple ways of working with it and some very interesting and really cool things that you can do with After Effects. Mark, I was introducing After Effects to a boys' school in Melbourne. And then it was a year later, this was a little while ago now, and the teacher said, "Look what you've done." And she sent me these videos of the year 8 boys creating these like war games in the car park of the school where they were shooting up each other and blood was going everywhere. And I'm thinking, what have I done? But that's just, oh, look, everyone's not impressed with that. But
No, I'm just thinking, like, self-expression takes many, many, many forms.
Yeah. So, Mark, doing those special effects where you've got the muzzle flares coming out of the guns and the bullets flying out, you see them on TV shows a lot. You can almost tell sometimes if the show's got a low budget and it's not a real gun firing or firing blanks, or if it's not a real explosion, because you can just tell slightly that it's not quite real. It's probably been done in After Effects. What exactly will you be showing us?
So I've got a couple of examples from projects that have used After Effects that I've worked on, and just wanted to show how to create simple keyframes and talk about the different applications of After Effects, because a common question is, why use After Effects when you can use Adobe Animate, for example? They're both, animation tools, but they just have different contexts. So I wanted to touch on some of that and show some examples and hopefully inspire people to start experimenting and, I don't know, maybe creating their own little car park war or whatever they want to do, or maybe they'll build a vaccine for COVID. I don't know. It's got to start somewhere. So
exactly. Oh, that's great. That's what creativity is all about. We've got some comments coming in. Roland from the Philippines. He first of all says, "Good evening, everyone," and he says this, and then he says, "It has been a great adventure, especially when sharing how they can bring inspiration and creativity in the classroom." And Roland's a relatively new Adobe Education Leader, and it's been terrific to have him as part of our community. He does incredible work in the Philippines, and I know we've got quite a few people from the Philippines who are watching this at the moment, probably thanks to Roland. And we had, and Clara, I think I mentioned this before, I think I had about 20 register for the summit just in the last 24 hours from the Philippines. So it's wonderful, Roland. Thank you for all the work that you're doing there to help drive active use of our tools and to build our community in the Philippines. It's terrific.
It's a little bit of football chatter in the chat here, I see as well. Some comments about Hawthorne. I don't know if we want to rub salt in anybody's wounds over that one. But yeah, so I guess the other really interesting thing I think with the deeper dives is just some of the questions and the comments and the things that come out after it as well. We've had some feedback from deeper dives where people have been inspired to apply things in their own classrooms. Mark, what do you think is going to be like, I guess like the most interesting, easy test case for a educator to start with an aero project in a classroom? Like, what's your favorite intro level?
Aero or After Effects?
Oh, sorry, After Effects. After Effects. I was looking at some aero videos earlier. Wrong Adobe, mea culpa. After Effects project.
Because I love Aero. But look, I think creating just some interesting infographics or just simple title sequence where they can present some information, something that could be an alternative to, a PowerPoint or something like that, which is starting to date. And we know we've got the Spark tools that allow us to create that sort of things really quickly, but After Effects is a step up, I think, with more options and obviously a little bit more complex, but it certainly opens the doors to some really fun projects and quick results. It seems overwhelming, but if you get that little principle down, I think then people are going to see a lot of opportunities to use it for whatever they're teaching, because it's not just about creative subject, it's about presenting information in an interesting way, which is what we want to do.
And it's especially gratifying when you can take something that's in your head and actually actualize it fairly rapidly. And yeah, as you said, it doesn't have to be intimidating. You just have to have a starting point.
And Clara, you've met a number of the After Effects team who have presented at various summits in North America over the years, and because you're based in San Francisco at the office, you probably bump into them on reasonably regular occasions. You're only just up the road from the San Jose main office. One of the things that came out of After Effects in recent years was Character Animator. And people don't realize that actually is a product that came out of After Effects. And Clara, After Effects and Character Animator, out of those two, which ones have you noticed that have been most used or creatively used in K-12 or in higher ed?
Yeah, so the After Effects team, first off, is amazing. Their PM is based in Seattle. So Victoria, I've had her on this show before too, and she's really great to collaborate with. And then we also have more teammates in the San Jose office, as you mentioned. And now we're all remote, so still able to connect with one another. But when it comes to Character Animator, we've done quite a bit of work with that team as well. And Tim, you would know this as well. Our team is interesting in that we focus on education across the board, but we support all of the different Creative Cloud apps and now Document Cloud. So it's almost like mini companies within Adobe that each support their own individual product. And then we think about it from an education lens and how they're really building these products specifically for educators and students. So when it comes to Character Animator, I've been seeing a lot of really innovative use cases within primary and secondary. Everything from really building social and emotional learning through creating characters with students that want to embody pieces of their personality within a specific character and using that in distance learning, to creating characters that are historical characters within social studies or history, and having those characters then present. I've seen it in literature. We did a lot of work with the Royal Shakespeare Company in the UK and have that Shakespearean character that you can use. But what's really great is even if you've never done animation before, your students have never done animation before, there are templates in there. And then Character Animator, and Tim is the Character Animator expert, actually maps your facial recognition so that the character then imitates exactly what you're doing on screen. So it's really incredible to see. And when you see a student using it for the first time, like even primary students, they get so excited. So there's just so much that they can create.
That's great. Look, we're just about out of time. John has put in a comment. John's a relatively new Adobe Education Leader too. He says, to me, being an AEL has opened up a world, literally, of contacts and opportunities to create, share, and learn with brilliant educators. I had no idea how rewarding being an AEL would be. That's a lovely summary, John. Thank you. And we're going to be jumping into Blue Jeans very soon. So I just want to thank Clara and Mark for joining us. We're going to have some more from them at our Deeper Dive event, but we'll say goodbye to them now because Erin and I have a couple of announcements to make.
Indeed we do. So as Clara mentioned, the global Adobe and Education team recently launched the Adobe Creative Educators program.
This is a program for all educators in all curriculum areas. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be in this program.
Hover your camera over the QR code or type the link to find out more about the 1-hour Creativity for All course on the Adobe Education Exchange. It's an entry requirement for the Adobe Creative Educators program. Are we going to show the short video?
No, I don't think so.
We'll save the time.
The 2020 APAC Adobe Education Summit is happening during the September holidays between September 29 and October 1. If you haven't already, make sure you register your interest to be involved via the link or QR code on this slide. We currently have, now get this, 130 teachers now registered, which is wonderful. It's a lot in the last week, which is great. But we'd like to have some more attending day 2, which is an open day for all educators. We'll be sharing some more information about the summit during the Deeper Dive show.
If you're on Facebook and you're not already a member of the Australasian Adobe Education Community Facebook group, please join the group via www.facebook.com/groups/AUSAEL. This is a great way to keep regularly involved with Adobe in education.
And folks, we're winding up now from the end of the chat show. We're going to see you soon. But speaking of character animator, Rob the Robot will have the final say.
Thank you for being part of this week's Inject Creativity Live chat show. We hope you enjoyed it and found it edutaining. It's now time to switch over to Blue Jeans via bluejeans.com/kitchen.adobe for the Deeper Dive show, which is just about to start. See you there.